We actually met at a tag sale at John's house, which is hilarious, but I moved to Hastings in 2020. I knew a bunch of musicians around that told me you lived here, and I was like, that's probably not true. And then one day I'm walking with Henry, we see a garage sale, we start walking up the driveway. I'm walking up and I see this guy, fanny pack, the whole thing, like running a garage sale.
And I really wearing a fanny pack?
Yeah, I was like,
as I'm walking up, the cash in the pack.
As I'm walking up, I'm like, that's definitely John Patitucci. Okay.
Yeah.
I could either just fan out right now, or I could, try to be cool. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to bother the guy. I just start walking around with Henry. And then when we're about to leave, I just couldn't keep it in. So I was like, you look familiar. And we started talking. I also felt weird being like, I'm a bass player. I didn't want to bother you.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. I know, but I didn't want to like bother you. You were very cool. You gave me...
That's right.
You gave me this pedal.
You just gave it to him?
Yeah. You were like, do you need any bass stuff? And like you went inside.
No way.
And before I left, you said, do you know anything about YouTube?
That's right.
Because I just started a YouTube channel, and I actually work for YouTube. So we'll be in touch. We'll figure something out. And then about a week later, we met and worked on your YouTube channel, and we started hanging.
Yeah, and then I heard some of the stuff that he did, and I really liked his playing a lot. Like immediately, I was like, wow, this sounds really good.
Yeah.
And then we started hanging, playing around with the basses. I showed him some of my old stuff, my old Fenders. I showed him all my Yamaha stuff. And, and the acoustic basses, and we had a great time.
What was the first thing you had heard of Mike?
King Canyon.
I
believe,
that's right.
King Canyon.
It's
happening. Yeah, Keep On Moving On. I think it was Keep On Moving On was the first single.
Yep.
That's right. Like, okay, so that was like about the time we had
put
that, and you heard me.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile Mike is like texting me the whole time this is happening. He's like, dude, you never believe who I just met. And I was like, no, you didn't meet John.
All because of Henry.
All because of Henry, man. And and he was like, dude, and he likes King Canyon.
Yeah.
I was like, no way.
Yes.
And so I came out like just after Thanksgiving, and Mike set up me coming over to your place, and you made us espresso and banana bread.
That's right.
And it was all delicious. It was crazy because we started talking about the Bay Area and how you spent so many of your formative years out there listening to like Herbie Hancock's band and Tower of Power.
All of that.
And I think we immediately bonded over funk music.
Oh yeah.
Or what they call that East Bay grease.
That's right. And boy, it was. I mean, to land in the Bay Area in the East Bay at the perfect time was like 1972. So amazing. All of a sudden, and all this music, and we were listening to Tower of Power, but also Graham Central Station erupted in there, and Cold Blood and Sly, everything was happening. Herbie was making those incredible records, which now you're living in that zone.
Yeah, I moved to the Bay 20 years ago, almost 21 years ago, because I was like chasing that sound, like Sly Stone's Fresh album, and then like the second Tower of Power record, the self-titled one, like Soul Vaccination. Then of course Headhunters and Thrust and Manchild and all those iconic records.
My mentor was real tight with Paul Jackson. This guy, Chris. Yeah. It's spelled Poehler, Poehler. He used to say Chris Paler. He was always hipping me to Paul's stuff, and Paul became like a major influence on me. Like he had such an amazing style.
Yeah.
Which was wild because I didn't know you were into any of that music. I knew you as like fusion guy, jazz guy.
Yeah.
And then when we started hanging out and you're like showing me your old basses, you're playing all this Tower of Power stuff, you're playing all this crazy funk stuff, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you played that. Obviously I knew you could if you wanted to, but I didn't know you were into it.
You started on bass guitar?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, in Brooklyn. I mean, my brother got me a Sears Telstar. It was hanging on the wall down the street on somebody's house. Somebody's house was like a decoration. It was a horrible bass from Sears.
And then you got the Mustang.
I got the Fender Mustang.
And we bonded over that too.
Yes.
The sound of the King Canyon bass.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that and I heard it.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God! I got this red Mustang bass with the white racing stripe. It was a 1971.
That's the one you showed us,
But I bought it
right?
in '72. Yeah. all of a sudden the resurgence of that instrument was incredible to me. And then I had mine restored.
Yeah.
Because mine I had ripped the frets out when I heard Jocko and ruined it.
You got it restored like the week we were hanging out with you.
Yeah. I mean, once I heard him play and I was like, whoa, the bottom on that instrument is incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking when we met, obviously I wanted to play.
Yeah.
But I was like, we're both bass players. I want to do something with you, but I don't know what, and maybe at some point it'll come to me. Then you're in town. While we were sitting at the table, I was thinking there could be something cool here, like if we put the three of us together.
After we left, you texted John and you were like, you want to come over on Friday and just like make some music and eat dinner?
You didn't have drums.
No.
I think you had your laptop, but that was it. And so you just pulled up some loops right up here. We just started playing.
You were playing the Mustang?
Yeah, I played the Mustang.
John was playing the
I
Pete.
played that lower part. You immediately came in with that nasty high thing.
I brought in a drum loop. I looped a section of some other tune I had made where my drums were doing kind of that Bay Area funk thing, and you guys jammed on that for like 10-20 minutes. There was so much information, and you were going back and forth switching between you playing the low stuff and you playing the high stuff, and then vice versa. When I brought that stuff home, I just like pulled up that one track and I found like 3 sections that felt like, okay, this could be a song, you know. And then I just went out to the drum set. By the way, you know, I'm doing this in Hyde Street Studios, which is formerly Wally Hyder Studios, where the Bay Area funk sound, you know, was birthed, you know, by like Herbie Hancock and all those guys. And so I'm going out to the drum set and I'm listening to what you guys played to a click track, and then I'm just trying to play to it so it feels like we were playing together, and then layering down percussion, and then I went to the clavinet, and I had to do like the Herbie thing, you know. And I was like, all right, now we got something. I passed it along to my good buddy Daniel Casares, this just wonderful tenor sax and baritone sax and alto player. And I was like, man, I got these melody ideas. I was like singing them in my voice memos on my phone. And I was like, what do you think? And he's like a huge fan of you too. He was like, what I think is like, I can help you with that, and please let me write some horns too. I was like, absolutely, man. It's Daniel comes back, I don't know, like a day later, like with these demo horns. He had like a keyboard trumpet, and then he played his sax. He took the melody I did and orchestrated it, and then wrote all these new parts that were so killing, and I remember sending it to you guys, and you guys flipped just on the demo. Those aren't even the real horns yet.
Right.
And you couldn't believe it. And I was like, man, come out here to California. Like, we're gonna track these horns properly. Mike brought the family out, came over to the studio. Daniel came over, and Mike Olmos, we call him the Hitman, Mike Olmos on trumpet. Used to play with Etta James, just incredible trumpet player. I don't know, how long was that session? Like 2 hours or something?
Hours.
Yeah. Daniel had all the parts worked out. And he did a lot of overdubbing because he wanted to put that baritone sax on there to get that kind of tower of power sound.
Killer.
And and then they left, and Mike and I stayed and just kind of edited it a few more times just to figure out like how can we transition these different parts. And and then I don't know, like by the end of the day we had like a whole new track. And then I remember texting it to you, and you bugged out, and you were like, man, this is killing. What do you think? Like, what should we do next? And you were like, should I take a solo? And yeah, you should definitely take a solo. You said, I think the 6th string would be like the burrata on top of the mozzarella. And I was like, do it, man. And then I wasn't here for that session, but you came over here to do that?
Yeah, we just threw some stuff down.
I texted you, I was like, how's Friday? You want to come over? You're like, yeah, what should I bring? You talked about the 6th string. We just did it right here.
Yeah, I brought the butterscotch.
We did maybe 6. Like 3 passes. They were all completely insane. And it was like, which one should we use? I don't know. It really doesn't matter. They're all great.
Yeah. I think you texted me the track, like a Dropbox link, and all you wrote was boom. And I was like, all right, perfect. Dragged it in. It was great.
That particular bass was kind of sentimental for me because I had it was a model that I designed a long time ago for Yamaha, and I loved it, but I had gotten a new version of it because right before Chicoria passed, he had been talking about, okay, we're gonna go out with the band next year. We're gonna do some reunion gigs, and I felt like the old red one, which was the same bass but in a different color, I was sort of retiring it. I didn't want to take it on the road anymore because it was, kind of special and kind of beat up too. Still sounded great. That 6-string was special because it really functions for, you can do a lot of stuff on it. He noticed too also that you could use it as a regular bass. It sounded kind of like it has that thing that people like out of the jazz bass, but it's bigger and has the bottom and the 6, it has the low thing, and it's got a lot, and it's also a very cool voice for blowing over a track. It almost sounds like a guitar, really.
Well, nobody sounds like you when you're playing that thing, man. It's like it's so you. Like now we have this track. We sent it over to my cousin John, who does like all my artwork and all the Track Tribe art, and again,
That's great.
Yeah, and we're releasing it.